Imagine being 17, standing at the airport gate and being told, without warning, you can't board your flight. No reason, no explanation. Just no. But what the airline didn't know? These girls had a secret weapon. One phone call, and their powerful dad shut down flights across the country. That's what 17-year-old twins Ava and Aria heard just moments before they were supposed to fly home from their summer break. Standing at the gate with their backpacks and boarding passes in hand, they were confused and embarrassed. Passengers stared. The gate agents were firm. And the reason? It wasn't clear. These twin sisters, dressed casually in hoodies and jeans, had done everything right. They arrived early, checked in online, had valid IDs, and even got through security with no issues. But now, the airline staff claimed there was a problem with their tickets, a problem they refused to explain. But the real issue, according to witnesses nearby, it looked a lot like racial profiling. The girls, who are black, stayed calm but clearly upset. When they politely asked for details, one of the employees reportedly said, "You're not old enough to fly alone." But that made no sense. They had flown alone many times before, and this trip was no different. Another staff member whispered that the system had flagged them. Still no explanation. Other passengers began noticing the strange treatment. One woman even asked, why are they being held back when other teens just boarded with no issue? Ava and Aria weren't just being denied boarding. They were being treated like suspects. That's when Aria pulled out her phone and called Dad. What the airline didn't know, what no one at the airport knew, was that Ava and Aria's father wasn't just any dad. He was Robert Langston, the CEO of one of the airline's biggest corporate partners, a major executive with deep ties in the aviation industry. And Aria knew exactly what to say. Within 15 minutes of that call, phones started ringing, first at the gate, then in the operations room. A regional manager rushed down. Staff started scrambling. Something big was happening, and the tone shifted fast. Ava recalls, one moment we were invisible. The next, they couldn't stop apologizing. But the damage had been done, and their dad wasn't letting it slide. Robert Langston wasn't just upset, he was furious. In less than an hour, he ordered a temporary freeze on all corporate travel contracts with that airline. Flights funded by his company were canceled. Millions of dollars were at stake. He demanded an internal investigation and told top airline officials, if my daughters are treated this way, what about passengers with no power to speak up? Soon, social media caught wind of the story. Hashtags like hashtag flying while black and hashtag twins denied boarding started trending. Travelers began sharing their own stories of bias in airports. The airline's reputation began to crash fast. And all because two teens made one phone call. Faced with growing public outrage and corporate pressure, the airline released a public apology, stating that the incident was a misunderstanding and that they were launching a full review of their boarding practices. But for many, it was too little, too late. Ava and Aria didn't stay silent. They went live on Instagram to tell their story, reaching over 2 million views in one day. News networks picked it up. Their calm, clear account won hearts across the country. Eventually, the airline retrained its staff, updated its internal profiling policies, and even invited the twins to speak at a diversity and inclusion event. They declined. Their father, Robert Langston, resumed business with the airline, but only after they signed a multi-year agreement to reform their passenger treatment policies and work with outside civil rights organizations. As Ava said in a later interview, we weren't just standing up for ourselves. We were standing up for every person who's ever been treated like they didn't belong. One flight, two teens, and one phone call that shook an entire airline. Ava and Aria didn't just fight for themselves. They lit a spark for everyone who's ever felt voiceless. If this story inspired you, drop a raised fist medium skin tone in the comments. And if you believe in standing up against injustice, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on the bell so you never miss a story that matters. Because next time, it could be you, your sister, or your child. Let's keep the conversation going.